Hello, everyone, and tonight on CPAC Now, America Uncanceled, we are going to be viewing part 2 of CPAC, The World is Watching. Matt, what can we expect?
Well, we have this whole focus internationally going to these countries where either socialism has been dominant or socialism is kind of revitalizing itself and taking over people's lives in a tragic way. But we also have this fight domestically, and one of the things the documentary, I believe, portrays is the fact that we've been going to these purple and blue states now for years, and it doesn't get a lot of national coverage, but these are really important CPACs. We went to Georgia before everyone knew that Georgia was such a problem. We went to Minnesota before a lot of people realized this is a state that continues to be very gettable for the right kind of Republicans. And going forward, we've also taken CPAC, as you all know. We went to Florida when Maryland was closed down. We went to Florida and we went to Texas. So we also have this question of, we got to hold on to Florida and Texas in this country or we're doomed. We lose either of those states when it comes to these public policy fights and the important campaigns, we'll lose the whole country. So we're doubling down on the two mega red states of Florida and Texas. Then there are other states like Tennessee and hopefully Georgia back in that column, which are going to be critically important as well. So the documentary gives you a feel for the battle we're waging, which is our primary focus on America, the implications of this fight here overseas. And I will just reiterate what I heard over and over again in Asia, both on the streets of Hong Kong, in Tokyo, in Seoul. Please go back and tell President Trump, when he was our president, and we miss him as our president, although he's still being pretty active, go back and tell your president that for the first time an American president has our back. And I'll remind you what Andrew Cooper said on this show, that it's America that is the most important thing to hold on to if we're to have freedom around the globe. All of these other countries know America's the linchpin. If we fail to secure liberty here, we will lose it everywhere. And I don't know if we ever get it back.
Well, that's the fight that we're facing today. It's the challenge that these generations are dealing with. And so let's take a look. CPAC, The World is Watching.
Korea CPAC kicks off in Seoul, South Korea, and it's hosted by the American Conservative Union.
Just make the statement, CPAC South Korea, and think about it for a little bit.
South Korea boasts the fourth largest economy in Asia, hence the nickname the Korean Miracle. But South Korean President Moon Jae-in is on track to changing that. Moon, often accused of imposing Marxism on Korea, shows alarming simpatico for the communist policies of North Korea.
The threat of communism on the peninsula is growing, and this whole socialism threat that we have here in our country is really a problem in so many corners of the globe. CPAC, South Korea. I had to keep pinching myself. Are we really going to go right in the middle of all that and have a CPAC? And would anybody show up?
Korea CPAC concluded to a packed ballroom in Seoul's Grand Hyatt Hotel. Though 500 were expected for the debut event, more than 1,000 Koreans showed up, spilling into overflow space at the hotel.
To try to move towards socialism.
I'm here able to learn about the people in South Korea and the trials and tribulations that they have that are not so different in some sense from some of the things that we're seeing in the United States.
In South Korea or in 3 countries around the globe, political disagreements should never be criminalized.
What America's been facing for the last couple of years is what Korea is now facing for itself. It's a generational change. It is an inflection point of what kind of a life do you want to live. If you don't make your stand now, it may never come again.
People in Georgia are just as sick of the swamp as many of us in Washington who are fighting it. We've got to take our country back.
Georgia is mainly Republican, conservative, Christian, family-valued people. Democrats coming in from other states who don't live here with big money backers coming into our districts trying to edge us out.
When you think of Georgia, you think of it being a solidly red state. The fact is, Our research shows that there's a real change happening in the state.
Congressman Doug Collins is doing a great job. He calls it like it is. He told us about all the shenanigans going on with the rules and the laws in Washington that the Democrats don't want to follow, and it's not right.
Georgia is now the 8th largest populous state in the country, and the fake news and liberal media keep saying we're a toss-up state.
Let me put it in Trump's terms. He's going to win bigly in Georgia this time.
The American Conservative Union, as long as I've been in Washington, has been the most important organization of the right in America, and in many ways, and this is important, in the world. On top of that, there are these regional meetings that it holds, such as this one here in Atlanta. I mean, this is incredible. And then all these international meetings, Tokyo, Seoul, Brazil, across the globe, they're everywhere.
Of course, the greatest thing about going to Brazil is just the spirit of the people. I mean, they want to sing, dance, chant, hug.
Our biggest message from America is the following. Number one, what you're doing in Brazil, you're giving us hope. Hopefully what we're doing in America is giving you hope. Number two, President Trump stood up in front of the UN and at the Congress, and in every speech he says, America will never embrace socialism.
Here is a very nice opportunity. Maybe it's the first time that the Brazilians have the opportunity to have an event like this. It's important to know how to debate with the socialists or with the leftists about abortion and gun control and all the other issues that are very precious for us.
I'm a conservative because I believe in good morals and values.
I think they're so enthusiastic because the yoke of socialism has been lifted. They've experienced it. They've lived through it. They're survivors. They love what they hear coming out of America.
I want to see if you do recognize that too, huh? Like this?
You would hear them talk Portuguese, and then they would say, fake news. And people would just start screaming. They totally understood this concept of fake news, which we think only happens here in America. Well, it happens there in Brazil as well.
They're trying to seize control of media and seize control of population. So the conscience is awakening. People are awakening conscience, becoming aware of this and trying to keep their rights, civil rights.
So we had about 20 to 30 years of socialism in Brazil. Obviously, it was a disaster, not only economically, but morally.
But for us, as a family, this fight against communism is very personal, because for Mercy, who's Cuban-American, her father was in Cuba when the communists came to power in the name of Fidel Castro. Mercy's father decided to fight communism, and for that he was put in prison. He escaped barely with his life into America. As a man in his 80s, he looks at America and he's worried that the communism he fled in Cuba is starting to infiltrate the country now that he calls his own, America.
Yeah, very important event here in Brazil. We have been under socialist government for 16 years or even more. And there's a uprising of conservative ideas here. It's a very important moment to be here.
As CPAC goes around the world, we learn about the individual issues in different parts of the world. Some of them are very different, but there is very much a common ground. It makes us allies in a sense that we're all fighting the same thing.
CPAC held in Memphis, covering topics such as the fake news liberal media, the Green New Death and socialized medicine.
So many found it so interesting that the American Conservative Union decided to host a CPAC here in Memphis.
Tennessee, as we know, is one of the most conservative states in America.
You know, people here in Tennessee want to see our conservative values preserved. And when they hear the attack that's coming from the liberals in Washington, they're very concerned.
Brandon Strzok launched the viral #WalkAway campaign on social media. He says he's walking away from lies, false narratives, and race baiting of the Democratic Party.
There are a lot of different minority classes who have been sort of sectioned off into areas of the city. So you have these people saying that, you know, they don't really have a choice but to vote Democrat. That's the only choice that they have politically. They're being told constantly that the Republican Party is racist, bigoted, and that they have no seat at the table over there. Meanwhile, the Democrat Party, huge on gun regulation, which is disallowing people to protect themselves. Every policy that they're pushing is actually to the detriment of these very communities.
That's what happens in CPAC, the diversity of thought.
Well, guess what? I'm the threat. We the smart black men that don't care about your lives. We know the truth.
What Blexit is what the walkaway movement is about. You have different options, explore them, see where you land.
But just know that you have a choice. And that choice is about self-empowerment. It's not about identity. It's not about groupthink. It's not about tribalism. It's that you are an individual regardless of the color of your skin, your sexual orientation, your gender, etc. Make the best choices that are right for you and your family. And that doesn't always mean being a Democrat.
So Ian, where are we going?
We're headed to Chester, SCI, 12 miles south of downtown Philadelphia, to go host the first ever prison CPAC Second Chances inside the facility.
We got to go talk to other people who don't consider themselves conservatives. It might be hostile to conservatism. You know, what's the ultimate place to go to? That would be shocking to people. A prison.
At that point, when the team started talking about the CPAC prison, we were like, this is such an interesting opportunity to go to a place where not many people get to go.
I was very anxious and very apprehensive and nervous about going into a prison for a couple days.
I remember walking into the prison, and I took one of my daughters with me. I took my oldest daughter and my wife. And it's unnerving. We signed in, went through all those big, heavy doors and got inside the prison, and eventually was inside the room with the convicts. And I did what I normally do. I just started going up and shaking hands and talking to people.
I'm David Safavian. I'm the General Counsel for the American Conservative Union, and I'm also an ex-offender. So today, we're at the Chester State Prison, where we're holding our first ever prison CPAC.
I've been looking at options from the outside of what jobs I can do. I've never seen anything like this.
Mr. Matt Schlapp here, I seen him on TV the other day, so it was a great day.
It wasn't long ago that I was in an institution like this, and really learning and growing with the things that CPAC is doing. I wish it was something like this that was around when I first came home 18 years ago.
This inspires a lot of people to just do better and get themselves together. I just appreciate the whole program, period. I just think that is real inspirational.
We're a lock 'em up and throw away the key type of group. There's plenty of criminals I want to lock up and throw away the key. But then you have this whole question of people who are in prison, mostly for nonviolent crimes, who are going to come out. I think over 80% of the people that we visited with at Prison CPAC are coming out. I want them to come out knowing how to read, having skills, having functional relationships.
I appreciate you guys coming out and doing this for us, and it really opened my eyes. Sometimes we don't get looked at as human beings a lot.
And it was an opportunity to meet not only offenders, but ex-offenders who've been able to tell the story of hope, where they're saying, I might have a second chance. I might be able to do good in our society. I might be able to go back to my family and work again and have dignity in my life.
What makes America great is freedom. And that we're a nation that doesn't just talk about it. We defend our freedoms not only for ourselves, but for people in this country and all around the world.
This is the most amazing summit of conservative leadership in the world. So we are from Latin America. I'm actually from Chile. And I think that CPAC is an amazing opportunity to share with all these people in the America, our conservative beliefs.
Young people like myself, I'm 18 years old, is where the movement starts. And
We are the future of the conservative movement.
I remember attending CPAC when I was relatively young, and I saw Ronald Reagan here, and it had an impact on my life.
We all love freedom. That's why we're here.
America is the place where no matter who you are, no matter where you come from, you have that opportunity for a better life.
We believe in the American dream, not in the socialist nightmare.
Can you tell me about your button?
Sure, but socialism sucks. I mean, it's pretty self-explanatory if you ask me.
There is so much love for this country, and we just want to make sure that the direction America is going is in the right direction.
They're focused on the conservative issues that are not just the economic conservative issues, but the broader perspective. What does it really mean to be a conservative?
A lot of urban America doesn't know the languaging or know about CPAC. So us being here on that main stage, expressing those conservative ideals and showing that urban America is in fusion and in synergy with conservative ideals.
But young Americans like you are leading the revival of American liberty, sovereignty, and self-determination.
What makes America great? Liberty, limited government, not having the government tell you what you can and cannot do.
You have the courage to speak the truth, to do what is right, and to fight for what you believe.
Everything that made America great in the beginning is what makes America great today.
The best is yet to come. Because together we will make America wealthy again. We will make America strong again. We will make America safe again. And we will make America great again.
Hey CPAC, Donald Trump Jr. I'm just here introducing Brad and the new hairdo. It's we're going Mr. Clean, I think.
Do the slick version for 2020.
Nothing happens without Karn making it happen.
Well, I don't know whether you know, but Australia's got a pretty good thing going, right? We have a very relaxed lifestyle. We've got the beaches, life's good. I want all you guys talking properly and not stuff it up, right?
Chairman Matt's, who?
Chairman Matt.
Oh, Schlapp, yes, I've heard the name. Well, he came out of the Bush White House, didn't ruin them.
You know, I'm a little worried about this Schlapp character who runs the place. But, you know, he does a decent interview.
Matt, are you listening? Matt, wake up, Matt.
Are you a native Georgian?
I am, born and raised.
I'm not from here. I'm from Washington, D.C.
My deepest condolences.
I think Antifa's a bunch of incels, you know, involuntary celibate people. They look like a bunch of punks to me.
We're in the swamp of Washington, D.C. But you know what? We're winning, and they're not. We're winning, and they're not. So just to finish, I tell you, Matt Schlapp is loving this.
And they're like, yeah, we don't know how long he's going, but we think he might only be halfway. And then, of course, I had to go to the restroom. Several other of these folks had to go to the restroom. And I remember thinking, how is it that President Trump doesn't have to go to the restroom? He's been talking for over 2 hours.
He's saying this is a lot more than we paid for. You know, normally you read a few pages and you say, bye, folks.
And he came off the stage, and I said, sir, do you need to, use the facilities or anything? He said, no, I'm fine. And I said, what are you gonna do when you get back to the White House? You gonna take a nap? I'd be exhausted. He goes, I don't take naps. And then he says to me as he's getting in the car, he said, hey, I like doing the speech on Saturdays because I have no appointments. I can stay as long as I want. And I said, we're with you on that. We like that as well.